Welcome once again to Play It Again, the series in which famous people talk about the films they like, magic moments from favourite fantasies, pictures that may even have helped to shape their lives. Well, our guest today is a young man who is still young enough to be discerned in this childhood snap. If you haven't got it in one, he's the possessor of the most expressive hands in show business. He's one of the stars of Not the 9 O'Clock News. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome, please, Rowan Atkinson. Rowan, when you were at school, you ran the school film society.
Yes.
Now, was it a democratic choice of films?
No democracy whatsoever. There was myself and my chum, Paddy Rickaby, who used to run the film society at school, with the physics master, and the three of us used to decide how we were going to alter the taste, people's taste in films. And I remember a lot of films that we used to get, they were only supposed to be shown once, according to the contract of the hire of the films, but usually secretly in the school study, because I had the keys to the cupboard in which the projector was kept. And in fact, we used to be able to show films to ourselves as many times as we wished in the sort of 3 days that we had the film. And one of these actually was Monsieur Hulot's Holiday. And I remember it was my first view of the French comedian Jacques Tati. And when it arrived, I'd heard it was good, and we showed it to ourselves in the study on Saturday morning and fell about. And we showed it again in the afternoon, and then we had to show it to the school in the evening.
You're, in fact, to my surprise, a very practical man. I know, for example, that you actually drive trucks. You have a heavy goods vehicle license. Do you get more job satisfaction out of that than you do out of, let's say, comedy?
Yes. Yes, he answered. It is obviously it's a very different kind of satisfaction, but to me it is a greater degree of satisfaction in some ways that I get from things like truck driving. It's just the idea of getting into a particularly large vehicle and being able to convey goods from A to B, and people sending you off at one end and people welcoming you at the other, and you having achieved a practical purpose of getting these useful goods to people, usually theatrical sets and what have you, that friends of mine are using, and it is a tremendous and very real and very simple satisfaction. Whereas in show business, for myself in comedy particularly, when you're working on something, particularly if it's new and it's new ground, it's a very tortuous process, and you can get very depressed about it. It's hard, and then you go on and you do it in front of an audience of 1,000 in a theatre, or in front of 10 million people on television, and if it works, all you feel is relief. You don't. I've very rarely felt real elation. It's just, thank God that worked. Now
whereas if you knock a nail into a wall, you can look at that nail and say, that nail is
in the wall. or if you wash cars, you see, I love washing cars.
Do you?
I get tremendous amount of satisfaction from that.
Because it's very. And when you finished it, when you take your final curtain on that washing the car, what's the feeling?
Well, yes, it's just a feeling of achievement. And
you led a very academic life at Oxford. You were in the rarefied atmosphere of research, in fact. Was it a deliberate decision to go for show business?
It was a very gradual process indeed. I'd always done plays and reviews and things at school, and then I came to Newcastle for 3 years to do electrical engineering at university, and I got my degree in electrical engineering at Newcastle University, and then I went to Oxford to do more electrical engineering, but as you say, this time in research. And it was just as a hobby, really, that I started to do and to write and create in review in particular, through all the fantastic opportunities that there are at a university like Oxford to do that. And it was strange because, at the beginning of my time there, I suppose 10% of the time was review and 90% of the time was electrical engineering. And then slowly the percentages went like that. And 1 minute it was 40% drama and review and 60% engineering. And then suddenly it tipped 51% of the time was because the first thing I did in television, I was writing a year before I left Oxford. I was commissioned to write it even before I'd left. So it really was a very strange
Yes, we'll talk about that a little more in a moment, if we may. And welcome back. Rowan, in a sense, you came to television, first of all, much too soon because you had a show of your own.
That's right.
You really weren't ready for it, although it was a remarkable performance. When you got Not the 9 O'Clock News and became one of a team, did you feel happier in that situation?
Very much, yes, a lot happier, which was why I didn't take the ITV offer, in fact, to to do a show of my own, because I was only 6 months out of university. I'd only been left Oxford six months, and when a television company says, you can do, here you are, a commission for a series of your own, it's a very dangerous and difficult thing, because if you succeed, fine, and you've had a very big and quick start to a career, but then you've got to keep it up. But I mean, if you fail, you really have failed, and it's very difficult to to imagine yourself doing anything for years. So it was good that at the same time I decided against the one-man thing, that Not the 9 O'Clock News came along, and it's nice, because if it succeeds, everyone takes the credit. If it fails, no one takes the blame. So it works.
Briefly, not too recently, you made a short film for the cinema.
Yes.
So that you had all the bits and pieces to do yourself. Was that a salutary lesson?
It was a lesson. I mean, I enjoyed it a great deal. It gave me a tremendous feel and desire to work in the medium of pure film, because it's and in fact, to be involved on the production side, I mean, I'd love eventually to get some expertise in direction, particularly if you've written something, or co-written in this case, which I had, and you're performing. It's nice to see the whole thing through and make sure everyone is doing what you want. And of course, the people who are having fun on a film set really are the cameraman and the director, because they're busy all the time. And you, as a performer, you're called once every hour for a 1 minute take, and then you have to go away and be bored again for another hour, and your brain goes dead and all the adrenaline goes away, and then suddenly you have to perform again. You have to be funny once more, and it's very difficult. And but to be involved with the total making of film, I hope and aim to do more of in the future.